Hello and welcome to the Sidekick podcast with me, Tank. Our podcast enables sport martial artists from all over the world to get to know some of the top athletes in our sport from both the past and the present. We aim to bring their martial arts journey to light and find out what makes them so prominent in our sport, what inspires them, and what training regimes they go through leading up to big tournaments. As always, if you enjoy our podcast, then let us know through one of our social media pages. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit the notifications bell and you'll get notified every time we drop a podcast. Episode 7 sees us travel to Black Dragon Martial Arts to speak with Lee Charles. Lee is a multinational champion in both sport karate and traditional Kumite. He's a 6-time world champion and is now making his name as an actor and working with some of the most notable artists in the world. We're very proud to present the Punisher, Lee Charles. Okay, Lee, so welcome to the Sidekick podcast, episode 7. Thanks for sitting down with us and having us here. Appreciate it. I know you're busy and I appreciate you sitting down with us, mate. Okay, so if we can just jump straight into how you got started in martial arts.
Yeah, just it's probably a really big cliche, especially for guys at my age, but it was the whole Bruce Lee thing. I think I was about 5. We were at my nan's, they were the first, my nan and granddad, first people to have a VHS recorder, and the whole family gathered round and we had 2 movies, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and Bruce Lee, the Big Boss. And we voted for the Big Boss to watch first. And I just remember watching it and thinking, like, seeing this guy, thinking, oh, wow, you know, he's just incredible. You know, taking on all these people and doing, like, it was just looked at like magical. And then I'd begun an obsession with Bruce Lee and just wanted to be like him and to be able to fight like him and do the stuff that he does. And I just went from there. And then my dad, I was quite lucky because obviously the circles that my dad was in, you know, he was friends with Teddy O'Neill and a few other people, and I got enrolled in a karate class. I actually started with Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, did that first, and then the club shut. And then I went to Shotokan Karate. Started doing Shotokan Karate with Jeff and Diane Grimmer. And then I just went from there, you know, and I think for some people, martial arts can either be a short-term thing where you come in and you have a few years, you have a blast, and you know it's something that stays with you forever, or it can be something that just stays with you for the rest of your life. And I think now I think I've always thought I couldn't live my life without it. You know, it's just had that much of a positive impact in everything I did. But yeah, so did Shotokan, and then I just went on to obviously study lots of other styles of martial arts as well. And I think when I was about 15, my dad's mate, Brian McKinney, must have been Brian McKinney, started off a club in Mersey Park called Transformers, and he studied Chinese martial arts, and I'd always wanted to do Chinese martial arts. Yeah. But back when I was a kid, there was nowhere about. Yeah. You know, unless you went over to Liverpool and into Chinatown, and I didn't have the capability of getting there all the time. So he started the Chinese Wushu Research Institute that was there, Transformers, and I went to him, and I made a transition to sort of sport kickboxing and Wushu and stuff, and I just sort of got into the Chinese martial arts. I found, to be honest, even though I'd done karate for as long as I had, I found the Chinese martial arts to be more my forte. It was a lot more relaxed, whereas the karate was a lot more rigid and stuff. And that just from there, and then obviously, you know, any time I could train or be involved training, or it didn't matter what style it was or who was teaching or who I was training with, you know, I just wanted to train. Every time I went abroad, the first thing I'd pack was a pair of gloves. You know, if I was going all day to Spain or whatever it was, I just used to think I never wanted to miss an opportunity to be able to sort of learn from someone else. So that's, I think I've just become a little bit obsessed with it. Yeah.
Well, how long were you doing the karate and the wushu for? Because I know you hold black belts in both, don't you?
Yeah, I did Shotokan from, I reckon it was about, I think I started when I was 6, and I got my black belt when I was like 18. Yeah. But back then, they wouldn't grade to black belts as kids. So I remember, like, it to be honest, it taught me like a lot of perseverance, because obviously I don't have brown belts in my club because of that reason. Yeah. I was a brown belt for like years and years and years on end. And I just remember thinking, you know, I hate this colour belts. But it was like, I used to see people coming into the club, starting off and getting the black belts before me because they were older than me.
Yeah.
And so it was quite hard, and it was quite difficult. But it didn't, like, I got to a point where it didn't bother me, and I just thought, you know what, you know, I'll just keep training. You know, it's for me. It's not about anyone else. And then the wushu, I just did wushu for years with Master McKinney. You know, just sort of had that transition. When he opened Transformers, I lived there. I lived and breathed, and I was quite lucky because he was my dad's mate. You know, Master McKinney's been in my life since the day I was born. First person to give me a Bruce Lee martial art book, you know, and he's just always been there. And when that opened, I lived there. I used to run to there every morning, train. Then I'd run to school, and then after school I'd go back there, and I'd spend my whole evening in there just training and doing stuff and working there. So yeah, I mean, you know, I did taekwondo, Shotokan karate, Kampo karate, wushu, and it was just like I said before, anything I could get my hands on, I just sort of wanted to do, and then did, you know. And it's still like that now, you know. I still try and keep as active as I can. You know, my body doesn't allow it like it used to, but
yeah, we're all at that point, mate. Yeah. So how come you went into the kickboxing side rather than like a mixed martial arts?
Mixed martial arts wasn't sort of established around that time.
Yeah.
I think it was about 93, was it? 94?
Something like that. That's why when people ask me why I'd never...
Yeah, I think it was about 93, 94, and I was already getting established in me kickboxing. I was already starting to win things and stuff, and I just thought, you know, do I stick with this or do I learn something new? And at the time, I mean, the UFC didn't make mixed martial arts popular because when it first came out, like, it was like, everyone must have thinking it was just like a big street fight.
It was just street fight.
Yeah, it was. So it wasn't how it is now. I don't think until it was probably the early 2000s. You know, early 2000 that, you know, you had the rumble at the Royal Albert Hall with Ian Freeman and stuff, and I think, you know, that's when the UFC rebranded and they started to become a bigger thing, and mixed martial arts changed. And I think at that point in time I was already fighting for Great Britain. I was already touring the world, and I thought, you know, do I stick with what I'm doing and keep enjoying and keep being it was probably an ego thing as well, to keep being rising higher and higher and higher. Yeah. Or do I go back to the beginning and start at the beginning and try and make a career in that? So for me, it was probably a decision. I mean, you know, I train in jiu-jitsu and stuff now, and I've done it, and I do regret not having an MMA fight. I do regret not having a dabble at that. You know, I've done the semi, did light, I did full. I was British Sandar champion. So I've had me fair share, but I do regret not having a little dabble in it, I think. But I couldn't do it now. It'd take me about 10 years to recover.
Yeah. So how did it come about where you'd start competing at like kickboxing competition?
Do you know what? It was like years ago. Like we used to do competitions. I remember Alfie had the open competition that he arranged in, is it Walton Sports Centre? Yeah, there. I remember it was there, and I was just this little kid that turned up in a karate suit. I was like in my teens. I fought one of his lads in the semis and I beat him. And then, you know, the way Alfie's lost, they just took a shine to me because I was just there with my dad. Yeah. All Alfie's lot took a shine to me because, like, I beat, like, I think his name was Darren, you know, I can't think of his name. I beat this fighter and he was a good kid at the time, and I was dead surprised myself, and I remember he broke me fingers and stuff. I did or he'd sidekick me or something, and I remember my hand being broke, and then I went into the final, and then all Alfie's lot just come round and supported me. Like, I had just like loads of the support, and I remember, like, it was when we used to do the old Ippon, you know, like the half point and full point, Wazari and Ippon. Wazari. And I remember I was fighting this kid, and he got a point on me, and I remember he hit my hand, and didn't want to fight on and stuff, and they were all there and they were all gearing me up and stuff to go on and do it. And I ended up beating this kid, and they all run on and pick me up and like were bouncing me around everywhere, and I was just like, oh, what's going on here?
Like Karate Kid.
It was, yeah. It was dead weird, but it was just like, you know, in my head there was probably like 200, but there was probably about 4. Yeah. But I still had that support and stuff, and considering I was this kid that had just turned up by myself. And then I had a pretty decent football career for a bit, so I still trained, but I didn't concentrate on the fighting and stuff. And then my football career sort of went by the wayside.
Yeah, because didn't you were at? I was at Everton, then you were at Tranmere, you signed Wrexham. You signed at Wrexham and then got injured, didn't you?
Yeah, I got injured, and then that sort of... So it sort of, even though I continued training through that whole time, but I had that peak. And then after the football went, and I started playing like semi-professional stuff, and I just didn't like it. Yeah. I just lost my heart and soul, and I just thought, I can't be bothered with this. And then I was playing for Jason McAteer's side on a Sunday, Parkdale, and I just woke up one morning and I just thought, it was the WKA's Nationals up in Manchester. I'd fought the FSK's year before, but I'd had like this sabbatical. I had this time out in between, and I just woke up one morning and I was with my missus. I was lying in my flat, and I just went, I think I'm going to go to this competition in Manchester. And she was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go to this competition. And I remember going up there. I think it was like, must have been 1999, you know, or 2000. And I went up, and it was chock-a-block, like
ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. Yeah. It was like heaving, chock-a-block. Never seen nothing like it. And I remember thinking, like, I'll go into the semi and the semi contact, and then I thought, and I seen a continuous, and I thought, I quite like the looks of that. Yeah. You know, just I'd never done it, and I just thought, I quite like the looks of that, just getting stuck in. Never trained in it, never done anything. Yeah. And I entered myself into it, and I had Joe Turney as the referee, who was just like, it was, I swear to God, it was just a bloodbath. I remember like sitting there, and I was with me missus, and she's like watching all the fights, and like it was just bloodbath after bloodbath, and she was like, "Yeah, you gonna be alright doing this?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Had she been to anything like that before?
No. And she's like, "You gonna be alright?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I remember sitting there and I was thinking, you know, when you're looking around, and I thought to myself, who are we going to end up fighting here? And I remember there was this like big black dude just sat in the sort of raft, you know, when you used to have the little rafter things going up, and he was sat there and he was just dead quiet, and he was massive, and I just, you know, when you just look at someone, I just thought, it's going to be him.
It's going to be you.
It's going to be him. And it was. I remember, like, they called his name out when he got up, and then it was like my name, and we had this fight, and I remember Joe Turney saying to me after it, like, it was a bloodbath. It was just he just let everything go, and we destroyed each other. And I remember Joe turning me to after it, and he's like, "You've got some heart, you." And I was like, I was done. You know what I mean? I was done. And then I had another fight. I think I had another 2 fights after that, and they were like tough fights as well. So Joe was sort of like laughing because like I just wasn't giving in. I just kept going. And then in this, I got beat by what's his name? He's passed away now, sadly. Chris Bowie's lad. I can't think of his name. His name's gone on my head. I feel terrible for not remembering. And he beat me. Angus. Remember Angus? Yeah. Angus passed away. I would have hated myself for not remembering that. And I fought Angus in the semis, and he beat me. Great fighter, really good fighter, really technical, skilled. Reminded me a bit of Ken. You know, it reminds me of Ken, the way he used to fight. He was tall and long and rangy, and he beat me in the semis. And then, but we'd had another and I had nothing left in me, like nothing.
Kind of glad you got beat.
But then I had to fight for like 3rd place, and I remember like they got me up, and like I had white stuff on. And it was just blood all over my pants, all over my top and stuff. And then there was this kid in it sitting down, and he called his name, and I swear to God, I'll never forget it. And I was stood there, and I'm just done. You know what I mean? I stood there, and he called this kid's name, and he looked up and went, I'm not fighting him. You know, like I'm not. It was like I'm not getting into a war. I'm not fighting him. And I remember thinking, oh, thank God for that. Do you know what I mean? I'm glad.
Just pushed it over.
Yeah, I was done. And then I had my first trip to Prague that year, WKAs, and got silver. I beat Angus on the way through, which was, you know, a big honour and a big stepping stone. But it completely, that one tournament changed everything for me, and sort of made me go, I can do this again. Do you know what I mean? I can get back into it and stuff. And then just started doing the tournament scene after that.
Did you fight in the points as well?
I can't remember, you know. I can't remember, because I used to be a points fighter. Started off doing points fighting. You know, I loved that. You know, I still love it now. I love watching all the top fighters and seeing what they do. And I think still today, in this day and age, they don't get the respect that they deserve for what they do. You know.
Well, I think I was only speaking about it this morning. I went training this morning with a couple of the people from our gym. I was talking about it this morning about points fighters going into MMA, and how hard it is for other fighters to adapt to the way they fight. Yeah,
it is. I mean, you have to look at Mike. You know, look at Michael Pegg. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I don't think anyone can close distance and move as good as him. I mean,
he's a freak, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, he's just a phenomenal athlete. You know, I remember. I mean, I went abroad with him a few times fighting. We were on the same team for years fighting together, and he's just a phenomenal athlete. You know, I think Mike's he's just a phenomenal talent all round. I think he's one of these people that whatever he puts his mind to, he will be able to go on and do and go forward and push. You know, and you look at Raymond Daniels sort of like made the transition over as well. You know, he hasn't been as successful. But then you look at like Wonder Boy, and you know, there's a few. I can't think of the kid's name, the karate guy. He looks like a college kid, blonde hair. I can't think of his name.
Sage Northcutt.
Yeah, Sage. You know, you got Sage. Well,
isn't it Raymond Daniels is married to his sister? I think.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So it's like a family thing. She does it as well.
Yeah. So you know, you've got like them athlete, because I think what it was is everyone used to. It's got that stigma, hasn't it, where everyone's like, oh, it's not really fighting. And I'm like, do you know how hard it is?
Until you get it.
Yeah, no, and it's like, do you know how hard it is to be able to do something and have the control not to follow through on it?
Yeah.
And not like to the extent that you're meant to. It's hard, you know, there's no denying it. You know, and it's like, if you can have that control doing that, if you want to hit something, you'll hit it.
Yeah.
You know, you know, if you can hit something with that much accuracy and be able to pull it, if I want to hit it, I'm going to hit it. And the speed and the movement and stuff. And I mean, I always found, you know, it did me really, really well in my fighting, because it gave me footwork when I went into, I mean, obviously the weight categories I was fighting in.
Yeah.
And I always seemed to be lighter on my feet than everyone else, and everyone, you know, even now, you know, I train with some of the lads and some of the pro fighters, and everyone's like, you shouldn't be able to move like that. At your size, you shouldn't be able to move like that. Yeah. And I think just, you know, I think the point fighting serves a massive purpose, and you know, in terms of, you know, you look at the guys that it's created, you know, the fighters over the years, Robbie, Michael, Drew, you know, Alfie, you know, you go back years ago. I remember buying Martial Arts Illustrated, and every week, you know, you were just dead excited to read, you know, about, you know, the Warriors and Peter O'Parra, and you know, you like proper legends. Now, and the funny thing is, you wouldn't dare go to say to them back then, oh, you're just a points fighter.
No, it's no chance of that.
Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I just think, you know, it got an unjust sort of, undignified sort of label put to it, which, you know, is completely and utterly wrong, because, you know, these guys are athletes. And I think it didn't help with that, the fact that it didn't make it to the Olympics. I think if it would have made it as an Olympic sport, you know, if the politics hadn't got involved as big as it did, it would have given the recognition it deserved. But
I think that's how you end up losing fighters, like the likes of Damon Sansom and, you know, going into Taekwondo and stuff like that. It's not just the Olympic draw, it's the money that you generate as well. If you can make a living out of fighting, you're going to do it.
Do you know what? It's at the end of the day, like you just said, it comes down to like your livelihood.
Yeah,
it comes down to, you know, about making money.
Yeah.
You know, it's like anything, isn't it? It's like, you know, when like you saw some football fans get dead mardy because someone's gone to Barcelona and left Liverpool, and you're like, you know, it's a promotion in work.
Yeah.
You know, if someone come up to you and went, would you want to be promoted to a manager? And you'd go, oh no, I'm just going to stay in the shop floor with my mates. Yeah. You're not going to do it. You know, it's that whole thing. And unfortunately, with the sport that we chose, you know, you didn't make money. You know, your money come from recognition of your belts to get students through the door. You know, you know, if you were lucky enough to get sponsors or get, you know, a fight that had some cash, but it was never. Excuse me.
Very few and far between, weren't they?
Yeah, really, never made you. I mean, I made a bit of money. Do you know what I mean? A bit of money, but nothing major. So you did it because you loved it. Do you know what I mean? You did it because you loved it. Yeah. You know, and you know, you either continue to love it or you sort of go, I've enjoyed it. It's been nice. It's now time to sort of put bread and water on the table and make some money.
Yeah. Obviously, you've just got up. You've gone this tournament, the WKA British. You've been away for a little while. I know it was big, the WKA scene back then. When you go to your World Championships, what's it like then?
Did you know what? Back then, when I first started, they were amazing. You know, they were really amazing. You know, you were proper World Championships. Yeah. You know, you were going up against the best fighters. You know, I fought Ben Stewart, and you know, I fought some of the best guys out there. You know what I mean? And yeah, you know, they were tough. They were tough competitions. And the experience was amazing. To be able to get in there and mix it with them guys, it was incredible. And the teams, you know, you look at the teams that I remember one WKA. I think we had like Michael, Robbie, Brendan. You know, then it was just like the names were just reeling off. I think Jamie Goulden was there. Then you had like Clifton. You had all that lot. Yeah. It was just like it was insane. It was insane. It was just like I remember just sitting there going, "Jeez, wow, this is like it was nuts. It was nuts the amount of talent that was there." You know, and you got to be around these people and see these people, you know, and then you had your coaches. So your coaches range from like Joe, Turney, Chris Bowie,
Alex Barrowman.
You know, it was just, and you were just like, I used to read about these guys every week. Yeah. So if they told you to do something, you didn't question it, you just did it. And they were just amazing. I remember I think it was the WKAs about 2002 in Casa de Marina in Italy, when Peter Lewis told us we were all staying in an Olympic sports village, and it turned out to be some kind of dorm or something.
I can't believe you brought this up. Every single person you speak to brings this trip up.
Honestly.
Even
but everyone was there.
We spoke to Bev and she brought it up, and Lorraine, Ian. Even my dad talks about it. My brother went that year, he always talks about it. It's the trip that everyone brings up.
Honestly,
that Italy trip.
Honestly, it was like, you're staying in an Olympic sports village and all this, and that's what I got told. And we got there, and it was like 8 fighters in a room in bunk beds, sharing one bathroom. And it was insane. It was nuts. It was nuts. But you know what? The actual tournament was just unreal. Yeah. It was like, honestly, it was just unreal, you know. You just and the fighters that you had there, and you know the squad was just like outstanding. You know, you just got this like group of fighters around that time. That, like, you know, for me, I think around that time, that's when it was at its peak for me. Yeah. Around my generation and my sort of my era, if you like, was around that time, from like 2000 to probably 2005, 2006. You know, you had, or maybe a little bit later because of Forth and Cyprus with Michael and that. But it was just a massive tournament, you know, and just to watch and be around so many influential people, you know, that you looked up to, you know, little Robbie, you know, you used to watch him, just
Robbie Hughes,
phenomenal. It was like watching like Luke Skywalker on the mat, wasn't it? The way, you know, he was just like phenomenal. And then Brendan, you know, I mean, it's just
see, I think Brendan's another freak.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's big.
Yeah.
And but he bangs.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah, he is so
His
fast.
legs are so flexible.
Yeah, so fast. I remember he beat me by a point. Like I never did points, and then we were at a tournament together, and we sort of like had no one to fight. And he said, "Just do points." So I was like, "No one's coming here." Do you know what I mean? I was like, "I know what's coming here." And I swear to God, he caught me with this hook kick. I didn't even see it coming. Like straight in the face, poof, and I was just like, oh, bastard. But yeah, another guy, you know, just like phenomenal talent, you know, almost respectful, you know. But it's like you just look at that, like that time and that era of competing, and then I think towards like the back end of like the early 2000s, so it's like in 2008 onwards, it just got filtered.
Yeah.
It just. I think
when associations start to split.
Yeah, I just think too many people sort of the politics just ruined it, you know, and like World Championships just filtered. I think the last biggest one was I can't think of the name of the organisation, but it's when we went to with Curtis Page and Michael and that, and we went over to Cyprus and we fought over there, and that's probably that was probably the best I've ever fought.
Yeah.
So I never won the world title because I got pulled out of the final. I lost the feeling in my arm in the semis. Yeah. And then they just wouldn't let me fight because obviously I had no feeling in my fingers or nothing. Yeah. I just lost complete feeling. I just trapped the nerve.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember I come back in. What happened was I come into the corner. I'd never fought so well in my life. You know, when just everything was working. Yeah. And I come back into the corner at the end of the thing, and I was like, and I actually said, I can't feel my fingers. I can't feel me hand and my fingers. And they were like, what? And I was like, I can move them, but I've got no sensation in my fingers. But as I was there, the doctor was there, and he was pinching the back of my arm. And I didn't know, I couldn't feel him pinching the back of my arm. And I was like, I'll be all right. And the doctor's like, no, you can't fight. No, and then we were trying to move the final to the next day, and they just wouldn't allow it. So, but I got fighted at the tournament, even though I didn't, you know, over Michael and her. Michael's like winning about 13 gold medals in every category you think of. And I remember them giving me it, and I was like, wow. I was like, but I did, and I don't think I ever fought as good as I did there. But I think that was the last big one. We had like Michael Edloffs was there, Wayne was there. There was just like John Lloyd was over with us. It was like Mark West was there. There was loads of us. Ken Baldwin was there. You know, there was a load of like really good fighters, and they had these mad style of fighting there, and everyone was just, it was just a really good team spirit. I think that was the last big team sort of spirit or not.
That you went to.
Yeah, and then I've been to a couple of World Championships after that, and they're just, you're lucky if you get like 3 or 4 countries there, and there's like most of them are England, Scotland, Wales, and
see the thing, I predominantly go whatever it's called, WKKC in this country.
That's Joe's, is it?
Yeah, Joe Turney runs it, in this country, It's WKKC in this country, but everywhere else in the world it's WKC.
Right, okay.
For legal reasons, I think. But when I go to them now, there's a lot of people, a lot of Americans, a lot of Canadians, the South Americans. You get some Europeans, but not like you get Europeans at a Wahoo. But then the Wahoos aren't going to get the Americans and the Canadians.
I always thought fighting there. I mean, apart from the Hungarians and the Italians, you know, I thought the Americans were always, the Americans and the Canadians were always the ones that you sort of wanted to fight, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know, they were, because their game level was just like, when they're getting paid as a semi-professional fighter over there to fight for the country, you're coming up against top fighters, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's not like us who are trying to hold down a job and trying to train and trying to own a dojo and trying to have a family. Yeah. You know, they were getting little backhanders off the government that was helping them go out and do what they were doing. So you always knew that when you were coming up against them, you were always going up against someone.
They're well funded, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
I think sport in America is well funded anyway.
Yeah,
I don't think it's great here.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible.
It is well funded. But I think the whole system that they've got with the college system and the NCAA system is brilliant. The way you want to go and play, I don't know, American football, go to college and you basically it's like serving an apprenticeship.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So, that's why they're the best. The Americans are always the best at the stuff in the world because you get your funding. The problem that we've got as a country is that where's us as because how how determined we are and how much effort we'll still hold down a job, do everything that we need to do, and still bring medals home.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, our governments are just like, oh, we're still doing it. We don't need to fund it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that with everything. You know, it's like that whole thing with the NHS. They're not going to give the NHS any money, so we go out, do all the clapping, raise loads of money for them. Whilst people are doing that, they're never going to give them.
It was something that we laughed about actually. Only in this country would you elect the Tory government, and then they'd say we've got no money for the NHS, and then you'd watch a nearly 100-year-old fella walk around his garden, raise 100 million, and then all be happy about it.
Yeah,
it's just only happening in this country.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It is nuts. But you know, unfortunately, you know, whilst the British public, and this is what makes us great, will still go out and succeed and still push and still win and still become the best at what they do in the world.
Yeah,
they're never going to fund them. No, it's never going to happen.
Right, Lou, shall we just go back a little bit? And it's just something that you said about when you were training, when you went to the tournament on your own, your first one. Are you training for competition on your own? Obviously, I know you're training with your different instructors, but it's a little bit different than what you were doing. Yeah,
do you know what? I think we used to do a little bit of sparring. We didn't really do that much. You know, I was doing Shotokan karate. Yeah. You know, it was very traditional. It was very drilled up and down the hall, and you know, kidan barais and shudan oizukis and washigeris. You know, it was very traditional. But I was just mad. I just used to watch films and copy stances, and just wanted to do it. Then Karate Kid was out at that time as well. So, you know, you're just watching all this stuff, and I just thought to myself, you know what? You know, I've been one of these kids that, like, I was never the best at stuff, but I always worked the hardest.
Yeah.
So, you know, in hard work out does talent. If talent doesn't work out, you know, it's categorically it will always do that. And I think, you know, I've always been athletic, I've always been sporty, and I've always had, but I wasn't the best. And I just wanted to have a go. And I used to have like loads of sort of all the Clash DVDs, didn't have DVDs, all the Clash videos. You know, I'd buy them from Martial Arts Illustrated. And I used to watch them all the time and watch them train. I had some old footage of some old Kumite. I was British Kumite champion as well.
Yeah.
So I did that. Was that before? Yeah. So I did Alfies, and then when I was about 15, 16, I fought in the seniors, and I was one of the youngest people to win the senior category in Kumite. That was hard.
It is hard. I was on the Kumite. Yeah. I done the Kumite.
No, not like the Kumite, like Bob's and that. I mean, like old school karate.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I done Shotokan for a bit. We done a Kumite, and it was hard for me to get the 2 points.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
The 2 point system on my head, and we go to tournaments, and someone would score, and I'd be like, right, okay, I get this back, and then I'd score, and then he'd score, and he'd be like, right, okay, time. I was like, what? Oh yeah, it's 2 points. Oh well. Yeah. But once I got that going, it was okay.
I fought at the BKA. Danny Connors, the late Danny Connor, great Danny Connor, his old tournament, and I remember fighting this like 4th, 5th Dan, and I wasn't even a black belt at that time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was there, and I just used to, and I was like, I remember he was like bouncing around, used to fight for the Great Britain team and stuff. I was like, oh God. And I was like, I had this big curly fro, like my hair just used to grow out, so I'm not going to down. So I just had this big curly fro, like, and little bit of bum fluff on my chin, and I was there, and I was thinking, oh God, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And come on, I remember he hit me with this like reverse punch. I swear to God, man, I felt like bloody John Hurt in Aliens. I swear to God. I remember I dropped to the floor, and like I still say to this day, I've never been hit that hard in my life. It just left that sort of like that thing in my head.
Lasting impression, yeah.
And I was on the floor and I was winded, and then I remember getting like slapped on the head and told to sort of suck it up and get on with it. And then I got up and I fought, and we got, and I remember he did this technique, it was beautiful technique, and he sort of hit through me and hammer fisted me.
Yeah.
And it was like, we got a nip on for, and I was like, you shit. So I went down, I was like, and he's like bouncing around, celebrating. It was like textbook.
Yeah.
So it was like movie-esque, the way he did it. And I remember walking back, and I was just like, oh. So I walked back to my thing, and he come out, and I just thought, whatever. And I come in, and I threw reverse punch, and Mawashigeri off my lead leg. Yeah. So I hit him with both, and I hit him, and didn't half it. I nearly sparked him out. I hit him not hard. And because the two techniques were that clean, they give me a nip on. And I was like, oh, I'm back in this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm back in this. And then, like, I looked, and everyone at the side was like, oh, you're back in this. And then we carried on fighting, and then I hit him again with another reverse punch. And I took it, I won it. I just stole it. I remember looking at his face, I thought he was going to kill me, do you know what I mean? Honestly, I thought he was going to, I was like, this little young kid, like, I was like snotty-nosed kid, and I was thinking, he's going to batter me or something. And I was there, and like, and I remember just everyone like looking, going, what's this kid just...
What's just happened?
I just, but I did, I won it, and it was, it was an amazing experience. And then Danny Connor obviously giving me trophy and stuff. It was the old Clash of Champions, I think it was.
Yeah. So
I was do sort of a tournament, Clash of Champions, the BKA. It was like their nationals. So that was like, that I've got like certain like competitions that I always remember. But yeah, I never like, even to this day, like makes me like go, oh God, that reverse punch, little thin white cotton gloves on, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was just like a fist, like opening my chest cavity and tickling my spine at the back. It was just ridiculous.
Well, I know that training on your own, going forward a bit, I think it's well known about how insane some of your training methods were. I'm not going to say how insane some of your training methods were. I remember seeing something on telly, actually. It was you were with Danny Harrison.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what the programme was called.
Yeah,
it was on
Fight and Talk, was it?
It might have been, yeah. He come down and done something with Ian Hollett as well. Yeah. I was there when he done the one with Ian Hollett. And I think he had a gas mask on. Yeah. It's all kinds of mad weights. And is that something, was that like an everyday session for you, or was it like leading up to a big fight or a big competition? Yeah,
do you know, what happened was I fought in a fight night over in the Isle of Man. And I threw a lead leg roundhouse and ripped me a doctor. And then I was in a wheelchair for like 3 days. Yeah. And I remember coming back home. Do you know what was in the first round as well? So it should have been a non-contest, and they give it to their lad, in our home soil. Yeah. I was fuming. It was like not proper going nuts, like. And then I come home, and I remember going to see the surgeon. I had to go and see a specialist because obviously the tear and stuff. And I was seeing him, and they were like, right, okay, chances are you'll never be able to fight again. Yeah. And I was just like, what? And they were like, you'll never be able to fight again. And I was like, what are you on about? And they was like, yeah, blah, 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 we'll see how it goes, but chances are you're going to have like major surgery to repair it. It sounds like, obviously it's a bad thing. Yeah. Anyway, they waited for the swelling to go down, went for the MRI. And he come back and he's like, you're not going to need surgery, it's sort of like healing together by itself. That's when they told me about my hip. Yeah. They were like, but your hip's knackered, you're going to have your hip replaced. So I was like, right, so you go, but I advise you not to fight, because obviously, you're going to have this weakness. So I thought to myself, I was like, I was at that age where I was thinking, I'm going to retire anyway. Yeah. Because like I was in my early 30s, around that age, and I was thinking, I'm getting on a bit, kids coming through, they're all fast and young and repairing quicker than what I am. Yeah. And then I thought to myself, do you know what? I want one more go at it. I want one more blast at it. So I hired two lads to train me, and they used to train me 5 days a week. I spent about 15 grand, 16 grand that year.
Did you? Yeah.
On personal trainers.
Jesus.
So 5 days a week, used to train me, both of them, every morning. And they just give me training methods that sort of like to get into my head more than anything else. Because obviously, you know, I took a big psychological knock and stuff like this. And I mean, the gas mask for me was to simulate a lot of things. But the main thing for me was like, I used to think to myself, if I'm willing to put myself through that and do whatever it takes. I mean, mate, I was passing out and throwing up, and I was doing like mad. It was just crazy shit. Crazy shit. But I used to think to myself, if I'm willing to do that, then whoever's standing in front of me is not going to do anything that I'm not willing to do to myself. And I used to use the gas mask. I mean, everyone used to be like, oh, you know, it's off chain. It was, but I used to use it to simulate when you used to get smothered or they'd hold you, you know, and you'd sort of fight for your breath because you had to regulate your breathing. You could never, when you wear a gas mask, you have to regulate your breathing. You can't stop breathing fast. If you breathe fast, it locks up. You don't get nowhere. Yeah. So it used to help me sort of regulate stress in a fight and stuff like this, and also it was just it used to send me like nuts. I used to think to myself, you know, I like this. I just liked it. I got like a kick out of doing it. And the more severe I could get, then the better. And I think that type of training became an addiction at one point. You know, where I think it was taping up my nose at one point as well. So I'd tape my nose up and I'd like put tape around, put the gas mask on. Then I'd have like a weighted vest. Then I'd have a belt with a rope on. I'd be going up sand dunes with tyres pulling behind me and get to the top and take the mask off and throw up and, you know, pass out with pains in my chest. But it was that, for me, it was that I used to think to myself, you know what, I'm getting old and I'm going to come up against these kids and I don't want anyone to have a psychological thing over my head. I just want to be able to come back and do what I need to do. And it worked. It worked, you know. I could come back and I fought in the World Championships in Killarney. And I had a couple of good fights and I won. So, do you know what? I never sparred in the run up to that.
Didn't you know?
No, it was just dead. I had a different mindset to training because I knew, like, I worked on like little techniques and stuff, but I knew I could do that. It was the other stuff that I wanted, and it did. It just helped. Yeah. You know, that was another good thing. It was in Killarney in about 2010, 2011 when I come back, and then retired after that.
That was it.
That was it. Yeah. I wanted to prove to myself. I mean, I come out of retirement in 2016, is it? Yeah. It was 4 years ago.
Was that? Were you just looking at the belt on the wall there?
Yeah. So 2000, I think it was 2016. Yeah. So my nan, I'd lost my nan, and I was really lost my granddad in 2010. Lost my nan 4 years ago, and I thought to myself, I need to. You know, you either go on a bender, don't you? It's also like feel sorry for yourself and think the whole world's full, or you just train. Yeah. And I was training loads, and I got down to my fight weight. Like I was like, wow. I just found myself at like fit and like fight ready, and it was, excuse me, Wayne Edwards said, we're after someone to fight for the full contact for the world title. Someone's pulled out. Do you want to step in? I was like, yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. That's how we go. 6 years out. I've been out for 6 years. I was like, yeah, that's how we go. So So went there, got in the ring, knocked the lad out in 28 seconds, won the world title, and then retired again.
Does it piss you off a bit though when you've put all that training in, you've done 28 seconds?
Yeah, it does, but but in my head I thought, I can't fucking let it go any longer. Yeah, you know, it's just I've been out the game for 6 years. You know, and it's like it's a long time to be able to ring, and you know, and you can spar as much as you want in the gym. It's not the same. You know, it's not the same as being as having being, you know, yourself as being competitively ready. You can have sparring sessions whether it's points, whether it's continuous or whether it's full in the dojo and in the gym. And you know, the minute you get to a tournament or to a fight, it's completely different. Your body reacts different. Your body resets itself different. Your mind sets itself different. You know, you've got a lot of other pressures and other things on your head, and it's you know, it's completely different. But I was glad because, like, obviously at that time there's a few people that had never seen me fight. But you had the same old thing with knockouts. So I knocked him out in 28 seconds with hands, and someone went, "He didn't throw a kick." And you're just like, oh,
you can't please everyone, mate.
Why didn't you throw a kick? I was like, never got a chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I just retired again. I thought that's enough. Yeah. You know, I think it's hard. You know, you were saying before about some of the old fighters wanting to come back and stuff, because you do. You know, it's there, and I still think I could fight. I just don't think my body would recover. Yeah. You know, that's the problem.
I struggle. I do struggle. Like especially I'm off work at the moment for Christmas, and training every morning. Getting up every morning, it takes me like 10 minutes to warm up. Yeah. Just to warm up.
Well, you said to me before, you look stiff. Yeah. I'm like that all the time. And there's people say to me all the time, they're like, "You limping?" I'm like, "I constantly limping."
Yeah, I've got a limp.
So it's constantly, you know, you just got like over the years. It's like, you know, I love what we do. I never change it, but it just smashes your body to bits. Yeah. You know, it does. It has a detrimental effect on your body, and you know, as fit as you are, and as you know, and obviously I'm quite lucky to do what I do now in my other career, in my other profession. But man, it hurts, you know what I mean?
So how many world titles did you win in the end, Lee?
6, I think.
Was it, yeah?
Yeah, I think I've done 6. They weren't great world titles, I think, you know.
Well, a world title's a world title.
It is.
And, you know, everyone says you win your world titles in the gym, you don't win them at the tournament.
Yeah.
Which I think 90% of that is correct, yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest, for me, the best thing I ever won was Waco had a Golden Dust tournament over in just outside Venice. Yeah. And I went over with Michael again and this year. Mate, that was like, I think that for me, that was what made me that tournament. That's where Mike nicknamed me the Punisher, because every round I had an Eastern European. It was just monster after monster after monster after monster. And I just fought at that tournament, and so for me it's like, even though it wasn't the world, that's me creme de la creme. You know, it was sort of, you know, I fought the best fighters, and obviously with it being a Waco tournament, and you know the standard of the fighters are always going to be really high, and what it was, and it was just, again, I always got into wars, you know. I remember Lorraine Hughes said to me once, we were at the CIMAC World Cup, and she said she was stretching. She said I was stretching, and she said the next thing I heard tables go over and chairs and stuff like this, and she just went, "I bet you that's Lee." She said, "I turned around." She said, "There's just you like creating chaos."
Was it Maidenhead?
Yeah, Maidenhead.
Yeah, I was there.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I watched the fight, yeah.
She was just like, she said all the air was just like chaos, and she was just like, yeah.
You know, when you go away fighting, do you ever take your missus?
No, do you know what? No, I didn't. When I went with the squad, it was just it was to do with the squad, and it was to do with me. I found that during my career, through me fighting, a lot of relationships suffered because of what I did, the choices that you make. Because people don't understand, you know, when normal people, and this is not derogatory towards normal people, like in a sense, but normal don't understand people with ambition, and people struggle to understand why you just don't want to have a normal life and just go about your normal business, and why you would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, why would you go running, why would you sacrifice your food, why would you lose this weight, and like they just go, it's all for a piece of plastic.
Yeah,
and it's hard to explain to people that.
Well, when I explain and they say, "How much did you win for that?" And you're like, "You don't win money. You win a medal." Yeah, but it's not the medal, is it?
No, it's not. And do you know what? It was never like Bruce Lee said, martial arts about self-discovery, and you find who you are as a person. Yeah. And martial arts the martial art is me. That's it. It's created. You know, the opportunity. I work in movies, man. Do you know what I mean? I work in Hollywood movies.
Well, I was just going to come to something early and say, you know, let's address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Because you are a massive movie star now. Oh, well, whichever way you look at it. How did that come about?
Do you know what, mate? I went to LA in 2005
yeah.
on holiday with an ex-girlfriend, and I just wanted to go to Benny the Jet's gym. He's one of my heroes. He's been an idol man. I've looked up to him for years. He's part of, for me, he's the greatest kickboxer that's ever walked the planet.
Yeah.
You know, he's just...
Benny the Jet was basically pioneered the kickboxing scene in America.
He just changed everything. You know, around that time, he was Donald Dragon Wilson, Bill Wallace, you know, the PKA was like massive, like the WK was massive, you know, it was like, I don't think kickboxing had an audience like that ever again.
Yeah.
You know, they were filling like football stadiums and stuff with, like, it was massive, you know, shows in Vegas and stuff. And I just went over, and it was when the email had a dial-up tone, so I was emailing over to say, you know, could I come to the gym and stuff, and I just wanted to go and get pictures with his bag. You know, I'm in Benny the Jet's gym with the bag, and like at the front of his gym, and you know, just do the picture. And when I was there, I sort of got interviewed by the lad on reception. Then I got interviewed by his wife, and then his wife come over and said, Benny wants to meet you. And I was just like, wow. I was like, shit. So I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you come all the way from the UK. He wants to come and say hi and say thank you for coming over and thing. And he come in, and then we sat at the front for about 2 hours, maybe longer, in reception. Didn't let anyone interrupt us. It was just our time. And then he's like, hey Lee, you know, what are you doing whilst you're here? And I was just like, nothing. I said, you know, I'm here for several weeks. I said, you know, I'm just going to train and keep coming back to here if it's all right with you. And he's like, yeah. And then he said to Cody, one of the lads, he's like, write this address down. And he gave me this address. He's like, be here 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I didn't even ask what it was. I thought, if Benny the Jet's asking me to be somewhere, I'm going.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the girl I was with at the time, my girlfriend at the time, we come out and she's like, where you going? What is it? And I was like, I don't know. She went, did you not ask? I'm like, I'm not going to ask Benny the Jet what it is that I'm doing. He's like, just bring your bag with you, bring your kit with you. So it was like 9 a.m. I had to be at Santa Monica and Fairfax, and it was the Lee Strasberg, like, acting school. Massive, like, biggest acting thing in the world. And I was there just doing stunts and stuff. And mate, honestly, so he had me in, we were doing stunts and we were doing acting, and then I was training celebrities in LA with him. He was chauffeur driving me around everywhere. Mate, it was nuts. The whole experience was just like...
But your missus was made up, she's gone for a holiday.
I know. And then she's sitting there watching me and thing. So she got nails done and stuff at the time, so she's alright. And then at the end of my time in LA, I was in the dojo and stuff in his gym. And then the phone went, and Sarah, his wife's like, it's for you. And I was like, who's calling me in LA? And I was going to Vegas and then to Seattle to see Bruce Lee's grave, and it was Shannon Lee, Bruce Lee's daughter. She was on the phone with the friends and that, saying that had gone, and she was saying, thank you for keeping my dad's spirit and my brother's spirit alive. And yeah, it was mad, mate. And then they just put this like marble seat down. It was like she's like, you know, feel free to sit on it, and it was just, and I'm like on the phone. I was just like, wow. And I come off the phone, and then Benny said to me, he said, obviously you go, and he said, I want you to be my ambassador for the UK and Europe. And I was like, that's a nice gesture. You know, didn't think nothing of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you part of my stunt team? No. He said, so, you know, if we're ever over in Europe or the UK, I'll ring you. So again, I was thinking, oh, it's a nice little gesture, how's him going? You know, it's a nice little, you know, well done, son, you know, little thing. And then sure enough, I come back to the UK, and then it was about 3 weeks later, and I was just sat in my house, and the phone goes. It's when we used to have house phones. For those of you kids that are listening to this that don't know what a house phone is, we used to have phones that were connected to your house.
I've still got one.
Have you?
I don't know why no one phones it.
It's mad, isn't it? And the house phone went. And the girl who was living with at the time, she answered it, and she's like, it's for you. And I was like, who is it? She's like, Benny. I was like, who's Benny? I was like, I don't know any Bennies. You know, because obviously I'm back home. Yeah. And then she put the hand over and she goes, Benny. And I was like, wow. So like, you know, you have to compose yourself because you're like a kid in the sweet shop. So I got on the phone, I was like, hey Sensei, it's like, is everything okay? And he's like, yeah, we're coming to London to do a film with John Cusack. I want you to work on it with me, just like training Johnny and doing some bits and bobs. And so I quit my job. I had a career at the time, quit that. Because they wouldn't give me time off, they wouldn't give me a career break. And I just thought, I can't pass this opportunity. I can't pass this. Do you know what, mate? And it's like, it's something, you know, like I said before, from when I was a kid, I just wanted to be Bruce Lee, and it was like the next phase, the next step to trying to be him. And then I ended up on a movie with Samuel L. Jackson and John Cusack. I was Johnny's trainer. Then I was over in Bulgaria doing another movie with him. Then I was back in the UK doing another movie. And Benny had just like took me on board and like made me like a student. And
was this like the time you thought, I've done something here?
Yeah, do you know what? Even now when I look back, it's just like, it was all like a dream. Like everything is, to be honest. You know, I'm just, like, I'm a bad nerd. Like, obviously, outside of the exterior of me, I'm a proper geek. Like, I just love film, I read comics, I read books. Like, I'm dead boring. My life's not exciting. I mean, obviously, people see what I post and they're like, oh, and it's like, you know, but that's like my work, and I love it, and I still get geeked out, like proper geeked out. You know, I worked with Gary Oldman, and you sit there, and I'm just some little kid from Rock Ferry. You grew up on a council estate, you know, and like we had nothing, and you sort of like, and you do have reality checks. But I remember just sitting there thinking, wow, what's going on here? I was like, how can the guy that I used to watch in Jackie Chan movies, who has now become who was my idol, who's now my friend and my teacher, be opening doors to me to work in movies? Yeah. And then I got married, got divorced. So don't want to talk about that. I'm leaving that out. If I ever do an autobiography, there's just going to be a blank chapter in my autobiography.
Just a blank page.
A blank 10 pages. Yeah. And then, but during that time, I didn't do no film work. And then it was about 8 years ago, Joey Anzor, you know, Desh from Bourne. Yeah. Joey sent me a message and he's like, we're doing a film with Scott Adkins, you know, do you want to come on board and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah. He goes, we'll give you a fight with Scott. And I was like, yeah, mate, I'd love to, like, you know, it's just, it'd be amazing. I was a big fan of his work. We went to work together on The Shepherd in 2008-ish. Yeah. But I opened my first dojo, 2007, 2008, I opened my first full-time centre, so didn't do it, didn't get a chance to go over. So I was like, yeah, I'd love to, you know, big fan of Scott, you know, love Undisputed and stuff. And so I went on Green Street, and I take hits. I've took hits my whole life. Yeah. That's what we do. You know what I mean? But in the industry, you don't really take hits. So when someone comes in, I'm just like, we had this shot and it was like ultra slow motion, and Scott has to kick me in the head, and the timing just wasn't happening. And he was just like, what do you want to do? And I just looked at Scott and looked at Joey and just went, do you want to just kick me in the head? And he both started laughing. I was like, no, seriously, just kick me in the head. I was like, if it's one shot, I'll take the kick. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah.
It's okay, we do this all the time.
Yeah, so I know. So all the producers and that, like, stood there and they're like, so I was like, yeah. So the first time...
Did they make you sign anything first?
Well, I signed the day before.
Oh, did you?
It's a long story. Burnt my hand on a flare. So anyway, so we did it, and I remember it was with Scott, and the first time he was waiting for me to like move, and it's sort of like, you know, when something scrapes you, and it's just like, and I just said, listen, you throw your kick, and I'll make my head meet your kick. Yeah. So you just throw it, and I'll just guide myself to it, and I did it. And it was like a lightning bolt, you know, the noise when it hit my head, and then I fell to the floor, but you heard everyone sort of go, like, like, oh, you know, that like it was just full on. And then they shouted cut, and I just jumped up, and he was like, Scott's like, you alright? And I was like, yeah. And he turned around and he was like, it's people like you that make me look good. Yeah. Because obviously he's taken that shot, and they watched it, and everyone was like, jeez, you know. So, and then the next thing after that was a head stamp on concrete. So we got like,
you didn't take that one, did you?
Yeah. But the thing is, like, the kick was from a wide, and then we had this like head stamp, and they were like, you know, we got this head stamp and that, and they were like, what we'll do is we'll cheat it so it goes in front of his face. And I was like, well, we've just done it on a wide and we can't cheat it because it needs the hit. And they were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, just stamp on my head.
So if they say what you want to do, you know what's coming.
Yeah. So, but my shoulders are that big that my head doesn't really touch the concrete anyway. So it's not like a full, but it looked really good. And then from there, it was just, you know, I impressed a couple of film producers on that who asked me back for the work. You know, then I worked on Iron Soldier, got cast as the lead villain in that.
Well, how much of an influence has Noel Clarke had on you?
Massive. Well, I met Noel on Iron Soldier. Yeah. So
I think you've done
The Anomaly.
The Anomaly,
Yeah,
Brotherhood.
Yeah. I've done a few with Noel. Did Scottish Muscle.
Kiddle's Holt.
So, but I met Noel on Iron Soldier, and we worked together, and we just hit it off. And then he said to me, I was playing, the guy I was playing, his name's Petrovic. I was like this Eastern from Russia, this Eastern European sort of like military guy. Yeah. And so I never forget. And Noel's like, he's like, can you do a Russian accent? And I was like, I'm playing in like Eastern European. He's like, yeah, but he goes, well, can you do a Russian accent? So I was like, my name is Petrovic, you know, and he was like, brilliant, to cast you in my next film. Like, just like that, and I sort of like went, so I was like, what? And we exchanged numbers and stuff, and then he kept in touch with me. Yeah. It was for The Anomaly.
You played Patch, didn't you?
Yeah, I was meant to play Sergio though. I was meant to play Bisping's part. So what happened was, so he said to me, I've got this character, I want you to be this character and stuff like this and everything else. And I was like, yeah. So he goes over to America, to Universal, and Universal like, we need someone else to play that part. We need someone that's recognised on both sides of the Atlantic. So obviously sales and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And obviously they cast Mike. But no phoned me from America.
When you say Mike,
Bisping.
It's Mike Bisping.
Yeah,
it's
Mike
not just not just Mike from down the corner.
Yeah, Mike Bisping. Yeah. So, but he phones me from LA. He was over in LA. He phones me. And he's like, "Listen, mate." He goes, "I'm over in LA." And he said, "You know, I've got a little bit of bad news." And he's like, "You know, do you want to cast?" And I was like, "Mate," I said, "I'm just the fact that you thought that I could do this role is an honour."
Yeah.
So he goes, but I've got some really good news. And I was like, what? He goes, I'm going to rewrite the script and stick a sidekick in with Sergio. So he rewrote the script with my character Patch.
To get you in.
To get me in it.
Yeah.
So every scene that he was in anyway, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And, you know, true to his word, man, you know, and, you know, that was the first time I met Mike Bisping. Well, it wasn't the first time I met Mike. I met him a few years earlier. But when we worked together on that, we hit it off, we become really close and stuff. And it was last day of filming in London, and Noel hugged me. And there was a second part to film, but no one had told me what the second part to film was. So Noel hugged me and he said, I told you, didn't I? You know, I promise you. And I was like, mate, I said, like, this is like beyond anything I could ever imagine, you know, to be given this opportunity. And you know, I was like, thanks for having faith in me. And he said, there's another surprise for you, but you'll find out. And I was like, well, he goes, yeah, we still got a little bit more filming to do. He said, well, you know, the production will be in touch. And then it was about 4 or 5 days later, get a phone call and they were like, yeah, we just need your passport details and that. I was like, why? Before? I was going over to New York to film in Times Square. And I was just like, I was in my mum's, I was in my mum and dad's having a cup of tea, and I was like, we're doing what? And they were like, we're going to...
Did no one tell you?
No, I was like... So I was like, got off the phone and, you know, start doing that like dance, like geeking out because I'm a nerd. And yeah, we went to New York, but I mean, the thing with Noel, I love Noel, you know, it just the opportunities that he's given me, you know, we're constantly in touch now, still always in touch, and he always says if there's anything there for you, like he calls me his family, and I believe that, you know, he's that type of guy. He's you know, I love the guy, you know, to take a chance and to give me that opportunity, and then from there, you know, I met some other stunt coordinators. They used me for other jobs because I'm a big lump, and you know, and I put it down to me to the semi-fighting. I put it down to all that. I'm able to throw a kick as fast as I want and stop it at someone's head or touch the head.
Yeah.
So, you know, that
because of the way you've changed.
Because the way I've trained, you know, and it's come through. And then obviously from there, it's just gone on. I've just met other people and they've seen me work, and I think because everyone sees me, and obviously I never used to be this big when I used to fight, but because I'm a big lump now. I think everyone sees me and just thinks, oh, he's just going to be a lump. And then when I perform, everyone goes, oh, he's actually all right. He can do stuff. You know, and then since then, you know, I had the honour of fighting Dave Bautista. You know, that was...
I've got a bit of a list here of actors and actresses you've worked with or worked on sets with. So you've got Joe Cole, obviously you worked Gangs of London, didn't you? Who's Peaky Blinders as well. Michelle Fairley from Game of Thrones. Dave Bautista, Pierce Brosnan, Thomas Tagoose, Gary Oldman, Stu Bennett, who's Wade Barrett from the WWE.
Worked twice with Stu.
Have you? You've got Vinnie Jones, Zara Fidian, Margot Robbie, Michael Sheen, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, The Miz, Shaun Michaels, Becky Lynch, Michael Jai White, Ricky Thomas, Denise Van Outen, James Nesbitt and Michael Bisping. Do you ever have to pinch yourself and think,
all the time,
what has happened here?
Honestly, all the time.
Especially with you being like a massive movie fan.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I think the biggest, like, obviously, you know, I said before, Gary Oldman and stuff, but, like, I mean, I'm really good friends with Olga Kurylenko now, like, we're really, really close. And having the opportunity to work with her, you know, I remember seeing her in Quantum of Solace and just, I was like, wow. Yeah. She's just... And then obviously we work together and we're friends, and you know we've been out with our sons together and stuff, and all the time, you know. Like I said to you before we started the interview, I like coming home. I like the normality, because you can get lost in that world, and it's not a real world. If that makes sense, it's work, and you've got to. And I remember the first time, and it has its ups and downs, because like 1 minute you can be fighting Dave Bautista on the left, and the next minute you've got no work for the next 12 months. Yeah. And you've got to be a realist and go, you know, as good as that stuff is, you know, it depends if your face fits for the next thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm the bit. Well, if you come to my house, you're seeing my house. Like, there's certain things that I've acquired offset. Yeah, it's borrowed, definitely. But you know, you just like, you know. For me, you know, I am a mad film nerd. So, you know, getting to be on set and to meet the people that I've met, you know, but when I was with I love Billy Bob Thornton, worked with Billy Bob Thornton on London Fields, Amber Heard, obviously she was on that as well, and Jim Sturgis, and you know, you just like you're sitting there and like Gary Oldman and you know Ray Stevenson, who's the Punisher. That was like a big thing for me, because obviously, so I was like proper geeked out, like comic geeked out. Yeah. You know, there's like, oh, kids, it's like keep your shit together. So, but you know, a friend, and then you become friends with them, which is like the weirdest thing. You know, it's like, like, because you know, at the end of the day, you know, everyone's a human being, and everyone's who they are, and everyone's normal. But these are the people that you know you look up to and you see, and
you don't actually realise that they are people.
No, you don't, because you live in this like. You're doing this false reality, don't you? And the media predicts people, shows you them a different way and stuff like this. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm getting to work with Tommy Turgoose, and obviously Leo Gregory, Craig Fairbrass, Nick
honestly, it just blows my mind. Obviously, I've known you for a long time, and it blows my mind that you refer to these people as Tommy. Or Mike. You know, obviously to you, they're just people you know and you're friends, but to everyone else, the people you see on the screen they put on a pedestal.
I'm you know, it's weird because like obviously, you know, Gangs of London come out, and you know that's to me career highlight.
Yeah, because I remember the fight scene with Dave Bautista in the lift, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But the Gangs of London thing was insane. It was ridiculous. You're featured in Empire.
I'm still Empire. I'm in Empire this month, apparently again. So I've been all over the world. I mean, that's Gangs of London come out in April, and I remember that first like 5 weeks. I reckon I had 10,000 messages. Yeah, easy. I was just and I had celebrities messaging me. You know, Warren Brown from Strike Back, and I had like people that I hadn't worked with sending me messages. You know, and you know I had like David Morrissey, like I know David and stuff, and it was just like, and I just found myself like going, wow, what's going on? What's going on? But I remember like, you know, I can't thank Jude Boyle enough, like the stunt coordinator, for having the faith in me to put me in front of Gareth Evans, and then Gareth having the faith to, you know, Gareth Evans who did the raid, man. The raid, you know what I mean? It's like, mate, that was like, I had 2 auditions that day. I had an audition for The Gentleman, like, what's his name, Guy Ritchie's movie. Yeah. And then I had the audition for Gangs of London in the afternoon. And like I knew I had to strip down to my underwear, and I was dead lean, like probably as lean as I am now for that. And then they said, like, because I knew the role would evolve in my underwear, and I didn't know the extent of it, but just so it wasn't weird. And then he was like, you know, if you get the role, can you put weight on? And I was like, yeah, you know, tell me what you want me to look like and stuff. So I think I put 2 stone on for the role, just under 2 stone, big belly and shoulders and stuff. And I remember when we were doing it, it's the hardest thing I've ever done, like toughest thing I've ever done. It was like, it was insane, the shoot. It was like 5 days, like 10, 12.
Just for that?
12, yeah,
just
10,
for
12 days, yeah. Wow. It was freezing cold, I was naked, covered in blood, got no pads on. Every time you see me get hit, it's me getting hit. Every time you see me on concrete, it's me on concrete. You just can't hide them things. I remember coming home every night being battered and bruised and stuff, but it felt really special. Like,
you feel like you were creating something,
yeah. Like the scene where I come out with when I go in and come out with the hatchet.
Yeah.
I remember Shoppy, the lead actor, he come up to me and he went, that's really iconic that, you know. He said, you come out, and he went, I got chills.
Yeah.
He went, I just looked at you and just thought, shit, this is like, everyone's going to remember this. And I remember we'd finished and stuff, and I remember Jude phoning me and saying, he's like, you know, I don't mean to say this, he said, but it's that good, I don't think you're going to do anything better again. It's that good. And I was like, really? He's like, really? And then I was in London and I met up with Gareth, and they were saying, and no one wanted to show me. They were like, you're not seeing it. Everyone was fucking watching it except me.
Except you.
Except me, do you know what I mean? They were like, you know, you're not going to see it. And we had coffee, and Gareth was explaining, and he's like, you know, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh, I just want to see it. And then we went to the cast and crew screening. There was like 300 people there. Joe Cole and that were there, and obviously everyone was there. And it was the first episode, but it was like a feature, because it's like a film, isn't it? It's like 90 minutes, the first episode. So it's a feature-length episode. And it comes to my part, and I was sat with the lads wanted to sit with me to see my reaction. So they're like shaking my legs and everything, you know, like, yeah, you are, and stuff. And I remember sitting there and I was like, you know, like all I want to do is my best. That's all I want. I just want it to like I'm not bothered about the praise. I'm not bothered about that. I just want my performance to be good. Yeah. The praise is nice, but I just want it to be good, and I wanted it to be everything that they were saying. And I remember we were sitting there, and it started, and you know the first bit where I get up, and I get up off the floor, and somebody was like, everything was dead quiet, and there was a girl in the audience that went, Jesus Christ, dead loud, as I stood up. And one of the lads grabbed me and was like, it's a good start. So I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah. And then as the fight goes on, because it's like this horror sort of esque fight, it's like really dark, and it went on, you could hear people gasping and stuff, and then it finished, you know, when I land on the thing, on the blade, everyone started cheering and clapping. It was insane, mate. Like everyone, it got everyone that much, that fight, that everyone responded to. It was like cheering and clapping. And like, I could, like, I'm not lying, I got really emotional, do you know what I mean? I was just like, jeez, I was like, this is like, and I could see the lads, you know, they were hugging me and big smiles, and I was like, and we went upstairs to where the bar area was and stuff after it, and there was girls looking at me from a distance, like, just like, proper like, you know, like,
that's him.
And I'm like, it's alright, you know, I'm not like that guy. I had the producer, one of the American producers from the show, come up to me, and he was just like, thank you. He's like, that is just something else. And I was like, thanks. He's like, no, seriously. He's like, it was just something else. So like I come away from that, and I was just like, wow. And then obviously when it got released, and that image is being used around the world. You know, it's everywhere. That me and Shopping, you know, one amazing image from the photographer. And it's just been insane. It's been a roller coaster ride. It's a bit gutting that it happened during this whole madness. So obviously I haven't been able to sort of get it. But I remember when lockdown finished and toy shops open and stuff, I took my little lad, and I got stopped by 3 people in there.
Did you?
Yeah, for photographs. Oh, you know, Gangs of London. And he was like, oh, this is your Gangs of London. I was like, oh yeah.
Is that the first time that has happened?
I've been stopped before, like for that, it was like, you know, obviously because I live where I live on the peninsula, people know me sort of thing. But I don't really go out that much, so when I go out, sometimes people come over and ask for a photograph and stuff. But then Gangs of London just went mad. I remember being in Asda, and I was talking to a friend of mine, this woman I know, and there was this guy like circling round, like going, you know, just like with this trolley, and he's going past. And then I was looking, I'm like, Bernie was looking at me and looking, and he goes past and he like goes past me and looks over his shoulder, looks at his trolley, and he goes, "It is you, isn't it?" And I went, "Who is it?" And he went, "Gangs of London." And I went, "Yeah, it's me." And he was just like, "Oh, can I have a photograph?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course you can."
But you know, a few years ago, that would have been you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, I mean, do you know what, mate? It's just, you know, I love what I do, you know, and it's like, it's funny because like I was this kid that wanted to be Bruce Lee, and it's like I'm not Bruce Lee, but it's like if you could tick boxes of like trying to be him, I'm ticking the right boxes, if that makes sense. You know, it's like the film and this, and obviously fighting, and it's just, and I just think, you know, having, if you're that passionate about something, and you have that much desire to do something, then nothing's impossible. Like, and the only person that can stop you from achieving anything is you. It's not no one else. It's you. Like, people are gonna say no. People are gonna knock you back. People are constantly gonna put you down. I haven't had the support of, like, when I've been in relationships in the past, and if I would have made the choice to listen to them and stuff, I'd probably be packing boxes somewhere in some factory, which there's nothing wrong with it, by the way, if anyone pack box boxes. But it's just like, but I'm not, I'm ambitious. And it's like I was saying before, people don't understand ambition. And I was in a relationship, and I said to the girl I was in a relationship with, she's like, "I just want a normal life." And I'm like, "Your normal's not my normal. My normal is different than you."
Yeah.
I'm like, the difference between me and you is, and there's nothing wrong with it, is that you're content. I'm ambitious. And then people have to understand that when people are ambitious, it's like, you know, the amount of times I've wanted to give up, mate, and the amount of sacrifices I've took, you know, it's like I've been skint and been working on a film and had to sleep in a lay-by in my car. You don't tell anyone.
But that's the reality of it.
But that's the reality of it. They're the sacrifices. It's like, in order for me to get where I need to go and be part of this journey, they're the type of things that you have to be willing to do to get there. You know, it's like that, them early mornings going on runs when you don't want to, and it's freezing cold, and trying and working hard and blood, sweat and tears, or, you know, these guys that have had babies and are still getting up to do the feed and still training and still working through it. Like, it's them sacrifices that people don't understand. And, you know, I'm grateful for where I am. I'm grateful for what I'm doing. You know, I've just been on a massive project, my biggest film to date.
Yeah.
And
but
to
you
get,
can't talk about it.
No, unfortunately.
No. You've got 6 world titles.
Yeah.
Multiple black belts, multiple British titles, and you've got your Pride of Merseyside award.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. That's so weird.
You're inducted into Hall of Fame, the Women Hall of Fame, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a few Hall of Fames.
Yeah. Martial arts, illustrated. Yeah. You've worked on nearly 50 movies. 50 movies with
insane.
Mad, all the biggest actors and actresses in the world. So after everything that you've achieved, what's next? What's the progression? Is there something that you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote a movie. Which is, I think it's the first time I've talked about it, to be fair.
Is it? Yeah. Exclusive then, yeah.
Exclusive. Yeah, I wrote a movie 2 years ago. So I want to get that movie made. It's something that I wrote. I've had script writers and that read it and say it's really, really good, and various people. So I'd like to go into making, sort of getting that gone. But for me, you know, I'm 45 on Monday. It's like, I'm lucky to be still doing what I'm doing and still being able to do what I do. So it's just a natural progression. But I mean, obviously, you know, 5 years ago, or maybe 6 years ago, my boy come into my life. Yeah. You know, and that's totally changes my perspective on everything. You know, and everything that I do now is for him. Yeah. You know, it's cute because he starts to realise I work in film and stuff, and you know, he starts to understand it a bit now. But you know, I've took him on sets, you know, to film sets and stuff, and you know, get him. He doesn't appreciate that he's met Olga Kurylenko yet, right? But in 5 or 6 years' time, with his mates, he's gonna be a legend. he's gonna thank me when he's like.
He must get some attention on the set because he's small, there's big blonde hair.
Yeah, he does. I mean, you know, do you know what, mate? He's a great kid. He's a phenomenal martial artist. He's just like exceptional, and it's like to have him in my life. He just gives me the direction and drive that I need now to keep pushing forward and to do the things I'm doing. You know, hopefully this career keeps going for as long as I can keep it going. You know, if it goes tomorrow, I'm grateful for having the opportunity to do what I did. Yeah. And my schools, you know, it's time to start like sort of getting Black Dragon out there and franchising it around the country and sort of making sort of that work. Yeah. You know, for me, I'd like to be able to have the opportunity to go and speak with kids and see kids and say and give them like my story, like, and not like in sort of an egotistical way, but in a way that, like, especially with everything that's going on at the moment, you know. And I think, like, you know, the mental health thing with kids nowadays, you know, they don't know if they're coming or going, they don't know sort of what they can do with their lives and get that drive. And I don't just mean like go out and do what I did. I mean to make them understand that, like, if they want something that bad, it's there, and you can do it, you know. And people are gonna say no, people are gonna knock you back, people are gonna put you down, people are like, and probably the people that are closest to you are gonna tell you that you're chasing a pipe dream. Yeah. You know, it's not, you know, it's not reality. But, you know, if I can see one kid and have an influence on one kid, that perseverance to go on to do what they want to do in life, whatever it is, then I'd like to be able to have the opportunity to do that as well, and just do them talks. You know, every kid that comes through the door here, I try and explain to them that, you know, it's down to you, it's the decisions that you make. You know, and even though that the young and stuff, this is the time to influence them. This is the time to be that positive impact in their life. You know, like I said before, I still pinch myself, man. I do. Honestly, I sit there watching movies, and this is God's honest truth. I sit there watching movies and go, I work with them. You know, and it's like, you know, it's like, oh, I work with them, and it's like, and then, you know, I think I've got 4 movies on Netflix at the moment. I've got 2 on Sky Movies, and I've got about another 4 on Amazon. You know, and it's like, you know, you sit there and I just go to myself. I'm like, this is quite mad. Yeah. You know, I always get people, have you ever Googled yourself? And I don't. I generally haven't. But I've had people Google me, and then they're like, "Have you worked with Tom? I've just seen a picture," and I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh," you know, it's just, and it's nice. You know, it's weird because, you know, at first you sort of, you know, you, especially coming from a fighting background, because fighting's all about ego. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. Fighting is about ego. You know, you've got to have that to be different than everyone else. Yeah. And you've got to also have a slight narcissistic trait as well to be that. Not in the narcissistic thing that people throw narcissism around their friends' heads nowadays. I don't mean that. I mean as in that selfishness to be able to go on, to strive, to push forward, to succeed in what you're doing. And no one becomes the best that they want to do without having sort of that trait. I think it's all right to be selfish as long as you don't hurt anyone in the process of doing it. So, you know, if you need to do what you're doing. But you know, I just sit there, man, and I'm just like, I'm just like, wow, I was in that, and I have to have sort of I have a sort of reality check every now and then, and it's sort of like, you know, like through the week, Peter Andre I was in the paper with him and tweeting me, and he was just like, you know, I went on set and he asked me for my number, you know, and it's like, you know, I mean, I met Peter before, years ago, and we just did this little movie together and stuff, and as soon as the day, he's like, oh, Young's little name's amazing, and it's like, oh, come for a selfie. I was like, what? I was like, what? You know, and it's just, it's that sort of like that, you know, you come back and you're just like, wow, you know, just to play, to have the opportunity to play that character and to have that sort of impact on stuff. Just amazing, you know, and all through the martial arts, man, all through just being that kid that just wanted to kick and punch, you know, that just wanted to be Bruce Lee. It is.
It's mad when you, I speak to a lot of people on this or away from this as well in martial arts, and everyone's like, yeah, Bruce Lee. Yeah. Bruce Lee.
He was the man. Do you know what? Like, you know, especially at that time. Like, people don't understand, like, at that time, the racism towards the Asian community was massive, man.
Yeah.
It was massive. You know, the racism, to be honest, the racism towards any other ethnic minority, except white people at that time, was massive. So for a little Chinese man with, like, these unbelievable skills, he lit the world up.
Yeah.
He broke so many barriers down. And not just in terms of, like, introducing people to martial arts, but introducing people to the fact that, you know, we're all the same.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like, it's like, you know, we're all made of the same thing. We're all made of the same skin and bones and the blood and everything that goes through it. And it just knocks so many barriers down. And it, like, you know, you're going on, what was it, 1973 he died. You know, we're in 2020 now.
Yeah.
You know, decades after his death, he still has this impact on people.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
And it's like, you know, my little boy is obsessed, man. Yeah. Enter the Dragon, he's obsessed with Enter the Dragon. He's obsessed with it. Just sits there and watches it. Can we watch Bruce Lee? And he even says to me, I put Dragon on, you know, the Bruce Lee story.
Yeah.
And he even said to me, that's not Bruce Lee, that's the fake Bruce Lee.
Did he?
Because it's someone playing in his life. He's 5, Dad, that's not Bruce Lee, that's the fake Bruce Lee. And I'm like, it is, mate. It is, yeah.
Yeah, well done.
He's like, don't watch this. I want to watch the real Bruce Lee. So you know, you've got that, like, but, you know, I think what he did for the world was just not in terms of just his martial arts, but in terms of his mindset, his philosophies, the fact of the barriers that he overcome. You know, I think it'll be a long time before someone has impacted and influenced the world as much as he did.
Yeah.
You know, just from having this sort of charismatic sort of drive, you know, is the drive that
there's very few people like that's probably hit him and Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, yeah. Muhammad Ali was another one, wasn't it? You know, but Bruce Lee was a massive Muhammad Ali fan. Yeah. You know, looked up to him. It's like you don't get iconic figures like that no more. You don't get people that have that sort of, especially in the generation that we're living in at the moment. You don't have people that have that sort of massive inspiration on generations. You know, my son's 5, man. And he's influencing my son now.
Yeah.
You know, and it just makes you go, how? How now is he still that relevant that he has this thing, and it's everything about him. And I think, you know, the more I think as I grew up and the more I sort of got to understand him, and you know, I've sort of had dinner with his wife and his daughter and stuff, and I mean that's oh God, Jesus, honestly, it's just nuts, man. It's not. I swear to God, it's like you know, I said before, my house is like it's like a little museum of the things that, like, I've done. And it's like, if you come in, some people are probably like, because it's like I've got my finger in my underpants and Gangs of London and me machete to give me that as a gift at the end of it. And I've got like posters of films that I've been in signed. I've got other items from films
which we can't disclose.
For the fact that they might come on them back. And it's just like, but it like I used to use vision boards, and I used to use things that, like, you know, when you get up in the morning, you can't be bothered, and you sort of like, because there's weeks that you get up and you just go, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
I don't want to chase this no more. And then I walk down the hall of my house, and I see the things that, like, I've achieved on the wall, and like in between pictures of my boy, and I think to myself, wow, I've done that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I've done that. It's like, how?
Your hallway's like your vision board.
It is. My whole house is. Yeah. So I don't think there's a part that I will walk onto that I don't have that as a piece that has influenced me. I remember Dave Bautista wrote to me on Twitter saying I was the toughest man he knows. Do you know what I mean?
And you literally fought everyone in the wrestling.
And I was just like, wow, you know, it's just like, you know, I mean, you just, I don't know. I mean, it was. I think he messaged me the other month, Dave, as well. And you just sort of like, it's just nuts, man. It's nuts. You know, these are the people that, you know, I still watch wrestling. You know, I love it. Do you know what I mean? Like Shaun Michaels. Do you know, I met Shaun Michaels, mate. I swear to God, honest to God, I don't get starstruck that much now. I get geeked out. There's a difference between being geeked out and starstruck. But when I met Shaun Michaels, I was just like, man, it's Shaun Michaels. You know, it's
the
just,
heartbreak kid.
Oh, you know.
Did you ask him to kick you?
Oh, honestly, I was just like, and you know what? He's like the coolest guy you can meet as well. You know, just like really cool.
Walks around with his cowboy hat on.
It was just, honestly, it was just like dead chilled. Just come and grab a coffee with you and stand there and chat. And, you know, and then I met Becky.
Becky Lynch.
And she put a picture of us on social media. And then Mike. I was with Mike the Miz. You know, and then obviously Stu Bennett. I've done two movies with Stu now. Did Eliminators, and then I did a little cameo in Vengeance. Which is his sort of like Punisher-esque type movie.
Yeah.
Obviously Dave, Bautista. I think what other wrestlers I've probably worked with more. Do you know what? Do you know how bad a geek I am?
Go on.
When I work with them, I go out and buy the figures. They're in my house. I've got all the figures in my house. So I have the figure, I put it in a car, I put it in a frame. So I have the figure, then I have the movie poster of what we're in, and then the picture of us together. So, obviously still in the cake, still in the rappers.
When are you working with The Rock then?
So, bring it on, Dwayne. Bring it on. So.
If you're listening. Which you're not.
I know. But, I mean, do you know what, mate? I just, like, I swear to God, you just don't know where this, like, journey sort of, like, is going to go. I've got a few things lined up for next year, which I'm really grateful for. I've just landed a role recently in a movie, can't disclose it just yet. But it's probably going to be my biggest sort of acting, my biggest terms of acting role, which I'm quite excited. So, and I get to perform it with one of my idols that I look up to. So it'd be good to work with them again. Yeah, you know, but you know, it's just crazy, man. It's absolutely nuts. And I'd say to any of the kids out there, you know, this industry, as I was saying to you before. It's a good industry to go into, you know, and if you can get into it, I mean, you know, obviously, you know, Ashley Beck is smashing it, you know, we got Ruby, Chloe, you know, there's Eunice, Buster Reeves, you know, you only look from where we've all come from and what we're doing, and you know, you just got to persevere, man, persevere with it, but. You know, it's good industry to get into. I've got my lad training now. Yeah. So he does martial arts, does free run, does gymnastics, does horse riding. So getting off four of his skills before he can do it. So.
Oh well, listen, this has been amazing, mate. I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed coming in and going down memory lane and then listening to your story.
Remember us fighting?
Do you know what? Right, I was thinking about this, and we did fight, didn't we?
At the Woomer.
Yeah.
It was a woman in Wales. It was when the Woomers in Wales were busy as well. Lorraine and Ben.
Conway, wasn't it?
Conway, yeah.
Yeah, I remember it actually.
I do, yeah. I don't remember what happened, but I remember that. I remember.
Well, I was speaking to...
That was point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it will have been, I've never really gone continuous. I was just speaking to Andy Gray.
Right.
And I mentioned that I was coming. I spoke to him Wednesday night. And he said, "Have you fought him?" And I said, "Do you know what?
I think we did.
I think I have. But I tend to remember fights. Remember points in fights and all that. But I remember. I'm pretty sure we fought.
Yeah, we did.
But I don't remember anything about it.
I don't remember nothing about it.
Which probably meant I got beat.
I don't remember. I think I might have won.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember. I think Paul Smith was at the same fight, wasn't he? I think Paul Smith was at the same fight.
Was he?
Yeah. I think he was at the same fight. So, because I remember a 10-0 Paul at points. I remember I hit him with a spin hook kick. The hook kick missed, and a round kick straight off him. I put my foot down right. And I remember everyone going, "No way, you've just done that." Because, obviously I wasn't known for not like that.
Did you mean it?
No, I think I just threw my toe back and I hit him in the eye. Yeah. But I think we were the same. I think I fought Brendan at one of them in Wales as well.
Yeah.
That's where Brendan.
The women's okay back then, weren't they?
Oh yeah. Do you know what, mate? I'd like the competition scene to get back, and I'd like to give the kids the opportunity to experience what we experienced without it being watered down and filtered. And I think, before the interview ends, it'd be nice if promoters got together and just sort of put the politics aside put the things aside. Just create a big show like they used to be.
Yeah.
You know, create a grand slam that is worth everyone going for. Imagine if the top 3 organisations got together and threw a grand slam together.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
It would. Imagine, you know, get together, throw it together, get some prize money, and get some of the old guys back to promote it and be in it. You know, the generations before us to get it and to promote it and to do it. You know, I think everyone just needs to put their animosities aside. They need to put the money head aside, and they need to do it for the sport. But yeah, it's been brilliant having me on. I loved it, mate.
Thanks very much, mate.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.